How you doing?
You know what? Pretty okay. I'm doing okay.
How bad is it there?
There's people out on the streets and wandering around, and the stores are fully stocked, and it doesn't look much different from the usual world, except the traffic's not as bad as it had been. But I mean, it's not Atlanta traffic, so let's not be kidding ourselves. I'm in Wisconsin here, right?
You're the state that's having the primary today.
Yes.
Wow. Did you vote?
I did.
Excellent. Did you wear a mask and everything? Oh, wow.
Oh, hell no. I mailed it in.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Have you been doing anything in particular since you've been sequestered?
Well, luckily for me, it came off. I was on a vacation. I went down to Georgia, visit my brother, hang out where the weather was nice for a little while. And then this started hitting. So I'm like, you know what? I got to drive home before we get a travel ban going like they have in Italy. So I was only there for 4 days out of 2 weeks. And then I came home and I got sick and I was sort of laid up for another 2 weeks. So I haven't really noticed much.
But you were sick for another reason.
Yeah, other reasons.
Have you been working on music at all?
Yes, I have been working on music, but mostly I've been working on podcasts. Recording, I've got, well, I started like 8 of them. We've got 2 of them which are almost ready to drop. One of them is called Composer-ish, wherein I talk with another composer from New York about composer issues. Things like how to sell your music. Why can't we find a good triangle recording? Seriously.
You can't find a good triangle recording?
There's like, I really wish, I mean, I go on for 25 minutes about how like I've got good different triangles fail in various different ways. You know, if you want to do like one of those like samba things with the open and close and stuff, there's like a couple that do that, but then they don't sound as good as the other ones, and you can build them, but it's like we're spending way too much time on what is a stupid instrument, but a very useful stupid instrument to have that, you know, shiny triangle in there. It really brightens stuff up, and I love using it, but man, I'd pay $80 for a good virtual triangle. But
I'll work on it this afternoon. Did you say you have 8 that you've been working on?
Yeah.
And are they all going to be composer-ish?
No, some of them are now canceled. I was working with a couple of people that do a live dueling piano show, and I was trying to get them into doing it. And so we came in and recorded some things, and it didn't work out great. It turns out the skills for commanding an audience live are very different from the ones of like just pure storytelling.
Your conversation with the composer in New York, is that going to be like a one-shot deal, or is it going to be a series?
It's a series. I'm going to wait until we get 5 episodes to publish it up on, you know, iTunes and Google and all those and all the other places where podcasts live. But right now, going to be hopefully going forever.
No video, just
no video yet. Yeah.
Okay. Any plans to add video?
Once we get better at it, yeah. Because right now we have to edit pretty hard in order to keep the pace going. And if editing video like that, it would just be too jumpy and awful.
Yeah, the only saving grace when you do video editing, it gives you a chance to change something about the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of hide the edit.
Okay, yeah.
So if you go from a tight shot to a long shot where you have an edit, nobody knows you edited it.
Right. Yeah, and then, you know, show the other person reacting while you edit the...
Exactly. Yeah.
Edit the bits.
Yeah. Last time we talked, you said that you were going to be developing some relaxation kind of music.
Oh, yeah? That sounds like me.
I was wondering if you actually have been doing that.
I don't remember. Maybe.
Okay.
Probably did.
Is it
Um,
you don't remember because you're so busy?
I don't remember because I change what I am doing quite too much. Well, I mean, once something gets done, I just don't think about it ever again. So,
Yeah.
did I do it? Probably.
Uh-huh.
Did I release it? Probably. We can look back.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I remember that I wrote a bunch of software to write relaxing music.
Oh, really?
So that, right. So I just like tell it, yeah, do this for about an hour. And then the software goes and figures out what should be where and loads it all in and randomizes some things and makes them sound pretty. And yeah, I think I did 6 hours of those.
Hmm.
And then once you write the software, you just push the button and out the other end comes a very relaxing piece of music that doesn't really go anywhere or do anything, but that's what it was supposed to do.
Do you this, and I don't mean this to sound wrong, but I can't find another way to say it. Do you find that satisfying?
Writing software to write music? Yeah, it's a lot. It's very fun for me to figure out like what makes relaxing music relaxing and then teaching the computer how to do that.
I see.
So it's a lot of tearing things down and then sort of codifying them and then making them live in an expressive way that's pretty cool. I listened to them back a few times. I had just have them in a playlist with a bunch of things and I'm like, oh well, this one's really good. This wasn't my software. And then like, oh no, wait, it was my software. It performed, but it fooled me.
If I were to say to you, here's $100, give me a list of 10 things that make music relaxing, could you write them out? Or is it such an organic process that you don't approach it that way?
Well, so I mean, we can go through the list. Tempo. You don't get very fast, relaxing music. That just doesn't happen. Timbre, harps and pianos, and that sort of like that seems to work really well. Scales matter, voicings matter. You don't want to have a lot of crowded things in the mid-low end of the keyboard. You can have them crowded up in the high end and it's still relaxing. So these are all, yeah.
Hmm.
What keys are they in? What notes can you use for color, and which notes shouldn't you use for color? They're all in the rules.
Is it mostly major keys? Yeah, because it has to have kind of that upbeat sense of you don't want the relaxation, I guess, to be
Yeah.
morbid.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, I can change that up, and I can say, instead of going for our mostly major pentatonic with a couple of other notes thrown in there, I could go with maybe mostly a Dorian scale.
Hmm.
And I don't think it would be super, like, I don't think it would sell very well as relaxing music. But, maybe if you're trying to just creep people out subtly, maybe in the foyer to a haunted house, just a little more ethereal, minor kinds of things would work there. I'm sure there's a use for it.
And when you set about doing the program, do you hear music and then say to yourself, how can I get the machine to duplicate that?
No, I do have an idea of what I want it to do, and I will just like record keyboard gestures, not worrying about what the notes are.
Uh,
Just, here's a good pacing, and then you feed them into the computer, and then it takes those and changes them. But it's building off of that organic thing that I first laid into it. And then you feed them about 20 of those things, and then it goes and picks and chooses, and it does a good job.
well, that sounds actually, I think that would be kind of fascinating to do.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to ask it in a demeaning sort of way, but it does sound like a fascinating thing to, and then to have it come out of the sausage grinder and actually have it make sense would be really good.
Yeah, it's real, and it's really cool with music because you can hear immediately if you screwed up.
Right.
It's like, oh no, that's the wrong scales there, or
Right.
it got too aggressive here. Let's make sure that it always calms back down.
And I just did a slideshow of 4 cathedrals in Edinburgh.
All right.
I was there this summer, and they're really beautiful buildings, and it's an overly long video, but I don't really care. But I used 2 organ pieces of yours. One is called Chromatic 2 Fugue and Chromatic 3 Fantasia.
Yep.
Do you have any recollection of that at all?
Yeah, Bach wrote that one way back in the day.
Were those actually Bach's or yours?
Those were Bach's.
Okay.
I mean, I recorded it. I did the performance on them, but
Yeah.
Bach wrote all the notes.
Okay. Because I was going to say, gee, it was really good.
It is. Oh yeah, I agree. It is really good.
Kevin really knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I was talking with a friend this morning about a YouTube video I saw yesterday, talking about why is melody dying, in the sense that, there are like 5 characteristics to music: rhythm, melody, harmony, and timbre, for example.
Sure.
And that music is to a place now where we don't put much melody in it. Think of Billie Eilish's music. Like, there's no melody there.
Okay.
Rap generally doesn't have melody.
Right.
Soundtracks for a superhero generally they have a lot of percussion, but they don't have a lot of melody. Do you think that's a accurate observation, or do you have some sense of reaction to that?
I think a case can definitely be made for that. I mean, there's other pop music which is super melody heavy. So, no, I think there's all things going on. And why would there be less melody? I don't know. Maybe it's just another thing for people to think about.
That's the point this guy was making, by the way.
You're just going to get cognitive overload if you keep throwing everything at that. You want your melodies to be short, repeated. Same thing with your chord progressions. Chord progressions and very simple these days, which is fine.
Right. And because people are usually listening in earphones, you can't have things that are too complex because they have to tend to the rest of the world at the same time.
Yeah, you can't be listening to chromatic fugues. That's a terrible idea.
Right.
There's a lot of melody going on in there.
Right, exactly. And you also raise a good point. When I think of some of those satellite radio feeds, they always will have something called either college radio or coffee house music. And that is certainly pop music that has a lot of melody in it.
Okay.
So I guess he was only looking, now that I think of it, only probably a slice. I guess you can make your point if you focus your examples enough so that you can make your case.
Right.
You want to add data that would be contra to it. Yeah. And so when you do relaxing music, are you concerned about melody or just
you don't want too much of it. You want notes, but if there's too much melody, then you find your brain catching on to that melody. So you want to you want people to know that there are notes coming, but you don't necessarily want them to like have an idea of what those notes are going to be, because you don't want them to sing along in their head. You want this to be a thing which is really sort of distracting from that. I don't know, but there's got to be somebody who's done studies on what your brain does when you're expecting melodies and they change on you. So the melodies are very random. They're nice, but
yeah, it's always nice sound. Actually, I kind of get what you're saying, because it really is music for the moment. I mean, truly the moment.
Right.
It's just right now.
Yes.
It's not like with some of the classical composers, you kind of remember where you've been and you kind of know where you're going. And you don't really want that in relaxation music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you would think, oh, this is really easy. I just don't have to do all the hard part of normal composing. And it turns out, when you crank it up to 11, it gets hard again. It's like to make sure that you don't have repeated motives that people are looking forward to, but still keep everything nice. Yeah.
Right. I once interviewed a program director for a local PBS station when they used to play classical music. And she said that when they've done surveys of what people want to hear on classical radio, like we used to have, was that people wanted to be soothed. And because classical music is soothing. And I thought,
Is it? Is that a thing? I guess.
no. Yeah, because I don't. Arvo Pärt is soothing, but no, I don't really call Beethoven soothing, for example.
Yeah.
Bach wasn't particularly soothing.
Yeah. I guess if you play Bach slow enough, you'll probably be fine.
I suppose. But anyway, you get the point.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, I just want soothing music. It's like, really? Well, maybe Wagner's not your best choice.
And yeah. What's interesting is that stations that have dedicated themselves to relaxation music never have really lasted. There was a little boomlet of them in the early 2000s, I think, but then they all kind of faded away. I guess you can find some internet ones, but I don't think you can find over-the-air ones.
Yeah, Chilled Cow is a very famous. Well, I don't know. It's what's that stuff called? It's lo-fi hip hop, where they'll take and chop up some jazz things and loop them, and it's very background music, but it's got a little bit of energy to it still. It's still a little driving. People love to study to it, for example, or write words, because there's no words to get in the way of your brain. It's got the energy. It repeats enough. And I listen to it. I listen to the old Chilled Cow stream. It's been going for, I don't know, years, maybe not, but if you haven't tuned in, you might want to take a listen to it.
I'm going to do that. Yes. Yeah. And what about Hearts of Space?
Don't know that one.
It's on NPR. It's been around a long time.
Okay.
And, Stephen Hill. It explores different themes of what they call space music.
Oh, okay.
Which could include the Bulgarian women and Bach with, and somehow or other there's some kind of connection. It's usually on Sunday night at 10 o'clock when no one's listening.
Okay. I'm sure it's online as well.
It is, and you might find it interesting. Do you ever have your music on any of those services?
My music is in a lot of places. I don't know what services you're talking about.
Well, like any of those internet stations that cater to non-traditional music, I guess.
I would assume, although I don't entirely know. I don't go looking for myself very often.
And you don't get paid royalties, so
right.
You wouldn't get a printout from a radio station or some broker somewhere that says, gee, here's where you were played, if you wanted to audit your royalty statement.
Right. No, I wouldn't know that.
Yeah. And how's the Patreon account going?
Patreon's great. Wonderful. Lovely.
Excellent.
Thanks to all my Patreon people.
And
I love you so much.
Remind me, what is that Patreon address?
That is patreon.com/KMacLeod. KMACLEOD.
All right.
Here we go. So we got, if we're doing video, There's the URL for you.
Excellent. As you've looked in your crystal ball, how long do you think your sequestrement is going to last?
Well, so I started sequestering about 12 years ago. So I don't see an end to it in any immediate future.
Apparently, then your plan is just to continue to sequester pretty much for the rest of your life.
No, it's not a lot of change. Not a lot of change in my life.
Well, as they say, it's kind of introvert's paradise.
Oh yeah, I've definitely been studying for this.
I did have a suggestion for you, and then I'll let you go. I think you should write a fanfare for the coronavirus.
Okay.
Like, fanfare for the common man.
Sure.
So that would be kind of cool, I think.
What
Somebody should write something to memorialize this.
I think there's going to be a lot of pop songs coming out. There's already a lot of parody songs.
Yes.
But so what would be what's the emotional hook that we're looking for in this? Is it
I think terror.
We want terror?
Terror
fanfare.
Yes.
So this unseen blob that is coming and shutting down society.
Excellent.
We can do that.
Yes. So I look forward to seeing that. And by the way, do you ever add additional music to Incompetech or Free PD? Or are they pretty static?
I think I added 60 some pieces this year to Incompetech. Free PD, I subtracted a bunch out and then I added in a bunch more. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like they've been changing in the last month, but yeah, no, they change. And I have 3 more pieces that I have to add into Free PD already. Some nice light jazz stuff and spy music and some other things that need to go up there. They changed, but I just don't. I don't do the meta posts like I used to, where change the homepage, announce a thing, post it on YouTube, post it on Twitter. I've laid off doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I should keep doing it.
Should is such a dangerous word.
It's a lot. I would rather spend the time, honestly, futzing with the music proper rather than doing the 8 hours of meta publishing around things.
Well, in case I didn't tell you before, I'm eternally grateful for the music because I had so many YouTube copyright exceptions.
Yeah.
They always let them ride, except for one. They did totally block.
Okay. Yeah.
But of course, with your music, that's not the case. And in addition, you have such a wide range of music, you can usually get something that is suitable.
And for those of you out there listening to this, if you come to my site and you can't find something that's suitable, email me.
All right.
I may have missed it,
Nice.
If you're like, oh, I need this very specific cover of a Peruvian dance piece that I know. I'm like, well, I can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
I can do something vaguely Peruvian, though.
Yeah. Always great talking with you. You have a great sense of humor. I so appreciate it.
I always appreciate talking to you, too.
And maybe we'll talk again.
Absolutely.
Stay safe, man.
Cheers.
See ya. I can't hear you.